Hey, Satnam, good morning. Welcome, everyone. Good morning here in California, where I am, in beautiful Nevada City, where we live here in the Sierra foothills of Northern California. My name is Jaidev, for those of you who we're meeting for the first time, and those of you we know each other well. Thank you all for being here. And I think we have, I sometimes think, well, let's do this one in 60 minutes, but likely it'll take between 60 and closer to 90 minutes. Because the work that we're going to be doing today and the spaces that we're endeavoring to enter into so that we can actually fulfill the goal of what this experience is all about, it takes a little time. What I think, though, is this, is it is well worth the time spent. So first of all, I'm grateful to be here with you. I'm grateful to share this space together. And I think it's going to be a beautiful experience. We have the waxing moon that is moving right towards its peak tonight to the full moon. It's a perfect time to be doing this type of work. It's a perfect time to be going into these meditative spaces where we can reconnect and have an experiential sensation of what it is that we're all about, of what it is we're doing here on the planet in the first place, of what our life is all about, and so on and so forth. And in the context of the work here today, and in going beyond worry or cutting through worry, and having that understanding that to allow your worries, doubts, and fears, which are normal and natural. If you're in a human body, the mind will continue to produce thoughts upon thoughts. And yogis say every wink of the eye, the intellect releases 1,000 thoughts. You may pick up on one. That thought, if it has enough energy, becomes a feeling. If that feeling has enough energy, it becomes a emotion. If the emotion has enough energy, it becomes a desire. And if the desire is strong enough, it becomes our actions, our behaviors. And then it circles back around to produce another thought, feeling, emotion, desire. So 1,000 thoughts every wink of the eye, wink twice. So there's a couple thousand right there. You might pick up on one. The rest go into what we know the subconscious part of the psyche. If that thought gets enough energy to become a feeling, or if it doesn't gain enough energy to become a feeling, that thought goes into the subconscious. If you have a feeling and either becomes an emotion, or the feeling goes into the subconscious. If you have an emotion, that emotion either has enough energy and momentum to become your desire, or that emotion goes into your subconscious. And then, of course, desire either has enough energy and momentum to become an action, a behavior, or even the desire goes into the subconscious. And that's what the yogis refer to as the 4-cycle pressure on the human psyche that all of us have all of the time. And so all the things that we're doing to try to alleviate the stress that is constantly on the psyche is really to alleviate that pressure, that 4-cycle pressure, thoughts, feelings, emotions, desires. And when will the thoughts ever end? Well, they say only 17 days after you die do the thoughts end. And that's why in great spiritual traditions across the globe, you'll know that they continue to chant and they continue to pray for an individual for a specific period of time after a person has left the body, because they know that that mind keeps running and that the process of moving beyond this field or this plane of existence into the next is a process, and it's an important process. So anyhow, what does that have to do with me worrying today and me having doubts and fears today? Because that is the backbone of it. That is the substratum or the foundation of it. Is that all of the thoughts that are being produced are generated from deep within in the nucleus of the being, in the nucleus, the deep vibration of the being. And there's some part of you, there's a part of you, there's a part of me that is material and dense. And then there's another part of you, another part of me that is very subtle and not dense at all. And it's of crucial importance that if I'm going to actually live in such a fashion that I'm not going to be dominated by worries. And that's the difference. There's a difference between experiencing doubts, experiencing a worry, experiencing a fear, versus being dominated by a worry, dominated by my doubts, dominated by my fears. Who here has children? I have a son. He's 13. Who among us with kids worry about our kids? All of us. Of course we do. It would be weird not to have worries and about our children. However, if those worries are indulged, and that's the difference, am I subconsciously indulging my worries and then allowing them to run amok and allowing them to gain their own momentum and then allowing them to dominate the psyche? Or am I able to actually transmute those worries into a higher expression? And that's what we're going to do here today. And there's steps that need to happen in order to actually, it sounds just fine and easy to, okay, let me transmute the energy of worry into its higher expression. Let me transform the energy of depression into its higher expression. Let me transform the energy of anger into its higher expression. They all have their lower expressions and their higher expressions. Emotion is energy in motion. And so if the life force in the organism is constricted into its lower triangle, as the yogis refer to it, the lower part of the body, rectum, sex organ, navel, then let me reframe that, not I will, but the psyche will tend to express itself subconsciously. Okay, I'm going to say this again. When the life force in the organism, the body-mind organism, is overly constricted, overly concentrated in the lower part of the being, the rectum, sex organ, navel area, the yogis call it the lower triangle, then the psyche will express itself predominantly via the subconscious. So what does that look like? That looks like, well, I have good intent for myself, but I keep on doing the same stuff over and over. And even though I have good ideas and I have good aspirations and I have goals, very seldom am I ever able to actually change the patterns I've been living by. That I know many of them are not supportive of my happiness. I know many of them are not supportive of my health and vitality. I know many of them are not supportive of joy and experiencing real genuine love. I keep on doing the same things over and over and over anyways, even regardless of my better intent. That's called the subconscious is stronger than the force of the will. And the force of the will comes from your non-dying, what we often refer to very simply as the soul, the spirit. So what our goal numero uno is today is to first is to generate the energy that we're going to need to make these things start to feel like a genuine possibility, where it feels realistic to us that I would actually be able to draw the sword out and cut through the mind's worry tendencies, because you are not your mind. The mind is a vehicle, and the body is a vehicle that the spirit and the soul and the non-dying part of you is traveling in for the time being. And this is an important thing to, whether or not, all right, I definitely believe that or I don't believe that, is to actually aspire to have some experience of that. And that's what the yoga practice is all about. Is you actually, it's not a yoga, the difference between yoga and say like religion is religions tell you what to believe. Yoga is not telling you to believe anything. Yoga is saying experience what you resonate, what seems to be true to you. So I have a deep, deep sense that there's a part of me that is beyond this physical sheath, this physical layer of my being. I have a profound sense that resonates quite deeply with me, and I know it does for most of all of you as well. That's not enough, however. Still, I have to experience that part of me in order to gain a deeper level of conviction that will allow me to halt the mind's worrying tendency, to halt the mind's depression tendencies, whatever the tendencies we may have. And with the circumstances on planet Earth in a 2019 and beyond, the uncertainty in our lives is tremendous. And that's not going to change ever. So we need to make sure that we're doing our part. We're doing our part individually to generate the conditions for ourselves that no matter what the external circumstances of life are producing for us, whether there's great amount of adversity or great amount of turmoil, who knows what could happen on our planet. That no matter what is happening, that we have the conditions, the inner conditions, the inner vitality, the mental vitality, and the clarity and the depth of love and joy, that irregardless of what's going on, I'm still going to be capable of living as a loving, happy, joyful person. Now, this very concept to certain folks, some maybe perhaps yourself, sounds like totally fluffy, and bullshit, whatever the case may be. Not to me, because there is a definite possibility that you don't have to believe that, but you can actually start to experience that to be true, that even when you're in great pain, you can still have joy. Even when there's great sadness, you can have tremendous love. So it's not about being this kind of facade, fluffy, spiritual, nonsense, and which I agree is all over the place. It's about a genuine, gritty, strong pathway of having the type of vitality, the type of mental caliber that allows you to be content, that allows you to be in love, and that allows you to have authentic joy, even in otherwise very difficult circumstances. This is what the Kundalini Yoga sciences are all about. Is how do I give myself the conditions where this becomes a real possibility? It's not a possibility if I remain in business as usual. If I go, we don't have a lot of folks in our lives where we can say they're beyond doubt, their doubts and their worries. We don't have a lot of individuals that we can say and that we can look to. They're around, but they're not all around everywhere. It seems to be. That we can say that even in tremendous pain, they still have amazing joy, amazing content. And yet that is absolutely what we're going after and what we're endeavoring to experience. And that will take hard work, of course. These types of, all of a sudden, we definitely have to go more than 60 minutes, because when we start to set the bar really high, like this is a little webcast and we're talking about, okay, even if you're in tremendous pain, I can still experience great joy. Well, that's a high bar, but that's what this is all about. It's not for business as usual. It's not for just normalcy, status quo. It's being extraordinarily abnormal, as my teacher used to say. Extraordinarily, excellently abnormal. And that's what we're going after. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to tune in here in a moment, and we're going to start some of these exercises. And we're going to get the life force moving in our bodies, because that's really step number one, is to actually generate enough energy to where you have the caliber and the capacity to move your mind. And that's what I often talk to students in classes. That's like your switch, your happiness switch. I've been watching a lot of like basketball in the last month or two. And they talk about like certain great teams, they have that switch where they can turn it on and off. Where they'll kind of coast until they need to, and then they turn the switch. That's what I want you to develop in terms of your own psyche. That any time that you need, that you can actually just choose to be happy. Even if the circumstances of my life are showing me no reason on the surface layer to be happy, then I can have that choice to be happy. Because the foundation of all of this is, if I believe the material part of life, not just the body itself, including the body, the material body of the material body, the skin, the bones, that which really seems to be the most substantive part of me on the surface, as well as the material world, that which I can see, that which I can touch, that which I can feel with the physical tissues. If I believe that to be the most substantive part of life, then none of this is going to work. Now, even if you do believe that to be the most substantive part of life, I'm here to challenge that, and encourage you to challenge that, not to believe that blindly, but to challenge that and to explore the possibility that that's absolutely not the case. That the most substantive part of you is the part of you that the normal seeing eye cannot see. It's the part of you that's so subtle that it has never changed and will change. And that perhaps it was here before even this body. And it's the spirit of you that will continue on after this body is done. Now that has got to be the foundation of the work that we're doing here. Because if I'm going to actually be able to stop worrying in its tracks, and the habitual tendency of worrying that for most of us has such a profound momentum because it's been allowed to perpetuate for years upon years upon years upon years upon years, and who knows, perhaps even lifetimes upon lifetimes upon lifetimes. And so what the work that we're talking about doing right now, and here and also in our Dharmic warrior work, is that what we're endeavoring to do is to take a wheel that is spinning with that much momentum and is very much like a wheel, and then actually halting it and moving it in another direction. And that takes a tremendous amount of energy. So the first thing we're going to do is bypass the intellect and the thinking mind altogether and use these practices to start to move life force in the body so that the mind comes into a clarity, and then you have the capacity. See, if you have great pranic power, life force, chi, if you can generate good pranic power in the body, then that gives you mental power. And when you have good mental power, you can choose to discard a non-useful thought. And then you can also choose to take on a more useful thought. And I notice I don't always use the term positive and negative, because sometimes a positive thought can be non-useful and negative can be useful. For instance, I'm driving over here today to come and teach, and a car in front of me slams on its brakes. My negative mind needs to go, stop. Hit the brake, slow down. Good. That's the negative mind. Okay? And this is important because the negative mind has a purpose. It has a job, and its job is to protect you. Its job is to be your gatekeeper. So you may have logged on to this here today and you see this guy. If you don't know me yet, in particularly, if you don't know me, you don't know my heart yet. You don't know for real if I'm like a genuine person, if I'm saying total bullshit, all of that. Your negative mind has a job to do, and its job is to try and discern, is this useful to me or not? Its job is to discern, will this harm me? It's like to take on these ideas. That's the question the negative mind asks. Will this harm me? And that's why we call it the gatekeeper. It's the protector of your heart, the protector of your identity. But for most of us, our negative mind is overly exerting itself, and instead of just doing its job, it's overprotective, and then it turns into negativity. That's the case for most individuals. Not all individuals, but most folks. The positive mind is its polarity, and we live on a polarity planet. So every positive has a negative. Every negative has a positive, up and down, female, male, good, bad, dark, light. The job of the yogi and the pathway and the endeavor of the yogi, of what we're doing here today, is to start to go in the between the dark, in the between the light, in between the positive, in between the negative. There is a road, no simple highway, between the dawn and the dark of night. That's the pathway. The positive mind is asking the question, what? What can I get out of this? So the negative mind is like, I'm not so sure, I'm not so sure if I should trust this guy. The positive mind is, well, he does have a nice, aura to him, perhaps. I'm not saying your positive mind says that. He does have a nice vibe. He seems to be genuine. He has a little sense of humor. He seems to be kind of cool, regardless of all, like the fancy hat and the long beard, it's in the clothing. He seems to have a vibe about him that it feels like I could probably hang out with him. All right, so let me check it out. Let me see. So perhaps that's what the positive mind is saying. Both of those are a mirage. And let me explain what I mean by that. The negative isn't good or bad, and the positive isn't good or bad. We put a lot of, we always hear about positive, the power of positive thinking. And often that's actually very useful because our negative mind is overpowering things. This is what happens when our subconscious is more powerful than our consciousness. When the conscious mind is overpowered by the subconscious mind, overconditioned negativity or delusional positivity is dominating our perception of our life. Do you see how powerful and important this is, and how important it is to neutralize the organism so that the mind is able to see what is real? And that is the neutral, the function of what the yogis call the neutral mind, or the meditative mind, or the third eye. Is the neutral mind asks the question, is this real? And so the negative mind is going to always be the quickest part of the mind. The negative mind acts first and says, will this harm me? The positive mind will look for opportunity. What can I get out of this? People with excessive negative mind, very powerful, overactive negative mind, tend to be in scarcity consciousness. The positive mind's all about abundance consciousness, but abundance consciousness can also be neurotic and delusional. It's different than what we use the semantic prosperity, which comes when what it is that you're doing is aligned with what you're here to do dharmically, your real soul purpose here. So you can generate a lot of abundance, but if it's not aligned with what you're really about and what you're here to do, if you have a mind, you have a mission. If it's not aligned with your mission, then it's abundance, but it's not going to give you happiness. It's not going to give you any sense of fulfillment. And I would not want to generate abundance that is not in line with what I'm here to do, because anyone who's accumulated a good amount of abundance knows that that energy has weight. It has a heaviness, and it can act like a poison, and it can that's why you see people who have lots and lots and lots of money that sometimes, not all of them, but sometimes they're miserable, because in order to have fulfillment, happiness, it has to be connected to a deeper mission, you see. And so this is why we're starting with this work, to lift the energy out of that lower triangle, then to neutralize the energy into the third eye area, so that your neutral meditative mind starts to become the strongest part of the psyche that will keep the negative and the positive mind in check. And this doesn't require your intellect and your rationale most of the time, of course, because that would be a clumsy and cumbersome way of thinking and living. What we're doing is generating the inner energy and the inner life force environment and condition that causes the mind to organically and spontaneously operate in this way. if that makes sense. And so what we're going to do here is generate that energy, lift it from the lower triangle, so you give more power to your will, and you take away electricity and dominance of the subconscious, old tendencies, non-promoting, demoting habits. And we then neutralize the psyche so we can see what is real versus what is not real. And that comes through your intuitive mind, the neutral mind, the intuitive psyche, the meditative mind. Do you see? And in this day and age where there's so much information, any knowledge you want to know, you can get with the push of a button. Knowledge is no longer where power is held on planet Earth. That was the last several thousand years. The age has changed, and in the information age, all information is available to everyone. So it is experience is what generates your power and your wisdom. And so what we're interested in is not just understanding this at the intellectual level, which is useful, but ultimately not enough. What we're interested in is to actually experience this, have experiential understanding of what the intuitive psyche, the meditative mind is all about. And from that foundation, we will start to have the capacity to cut through the worries, because the worries are coming from a space where the mind is overly in one side or the other, typically the negative, but also sometimes in the positive. Now, this is just step one, and we're going to begin the exercises. We're going to tune in, and then as we go into this, there's another layer of this. This is the first layer, and then the second and the third layer are crucially important. And so this is what we're going to work on, and this is what we work on in a much more substantive way in the Dharmic Warrior and Joy of the Infinite courses, both of them. So here we go. We're going to tune in to begin. If you're newer to Kundalini Yoga, or perhaps I know there's some folks who probably never done it. First of all, I'm grateful that you have opened your heart, open your mind. That's really all that's required. There's certain things because of this. Today is to just dive in, get a big experience. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on all the nuts and bolts. So if there's anything you're not quite understanding, even like this tuning in we're about to do, don't worry so much about that. If this resonates with you, this experience, if you approach this, and even if it might be a little cumbersome or clumsy at first because it's your first time doing anything, we're like that. But if it resonates, all the nuts and bolts and the basic stuff, which is easy to learn, we have so many opportunities that you can keep going with this. We'll explain that later. Today, let's journey deep, okay? And let's not spend too much energy on that level of the practice. I'll share enough in order to do what we need to do today. And then we can dig deeper later and learn everything we need to know to have an awesome, consistent practice that keeps the mind clear, keeps the body healthy, keeps the radiance bright. Bring your hands to the prayer pose, please. Hands at the center of the chest. Make a little heat with the hands. Press the hands into the center of your chest. Chest lifted up, shoulders are dropped down. And the third eye gaze, so the two eyes into the one space of the third eye. And inhale deeply. And exhale. Deep inhale, please. Suspend the breath in for a moment and exhale. And a few more times of this, please, inhaling deeply, palms pressed firmly together. Right, left, negative, positive. It encourages the two hemispheres of the brain to coordinate. The negative and the positive energy to neutralize. Keep going, inhaling deeply, suspending for a moment, and exhaling. Relax the gaze up into your third eye space where the root of the nose meets the skull bone. There lies the human gateway to the infinite. Inhale deeply, suspending for a moment, and exhaling completely. And in just a moment, we'll tune in, vibrating the sound Onga, O-N-G, to the forehead. Namo, center of the chest, Namo, Gurudev, Gurudev, Namo. Inhale. Exhale. Like tuning an instrument. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. Okay, let's get going. So to start, we're going to come onto the hands and the knees. And we're going to start with cat-cow. So come onto the hands and the knees. And the inhale is going to be when the head is up. And the exhale is going to be when the head is down. And a nice, smooth, rhythmic motion. Like so.
Thank you.
Now deep breath, nice smooth rhythm. And keep going. Inhaling, the head is coming up, the belly's moving towards the floor. Exhaling, the head's coming down, the spine arches up, the pelvis tucks under. And create a nice, any pace you wish, but then create a nice rhythm. It can be slower, it can be quicker, but you're making your spine nice and supple. And most importantly, the breath is very deep, nice, deep, rhythmic breathing. Another minute or so to go. Keep up. Good. Deeper, even more. Deeper the breath. And inhale, the head is up. Suspend the breath, third eye gaze, root lock is in. And then exhale, head is down, push all the breath out, arch the spine up, and push all the breath out, and then pull your navel in towards the spine. Beautiful, and relax and come back. Make your way back to sitting easy pose. Okay, and now come with your hands on your ankles or shins, or if you're sitting on a chair, hands on your lap. Are you ready? So gazes of the third eye. The postures are important, even more important, the breath and the gaze, third eye gaze, where the two eyebrows would meet, relax the optic gaze into that space. And you're gonna inhale, lift through the chest, and exhale back. Go at your own pace, inhaling, lifting through the chest, exhaling back.
You have taken away my looks and my identity. We're just a glance, and you have said what can't be said. We're just a glance, by making me drink the wine.
Now deeper the breath. Yeah, it's good. Now the mechanics of the posture is good for today. Now get into the deeper breath and the meditative gaze. Powerful the breathing. Keep up. Another 30 seconds. Go. Using the breath to lighten the tissues of the body, to lighten the density or the heaviness of the mind and the stress and the psyche. Overpower the adversity, the heavy, with the power of the breath. Good, keep going. Now deep inhale. Heart is open, chest is out. Now rectum, sex organ, navel up and in, and gaze of the third eye. Exhale. Perfecto. Come with your hands like this, fingers in front. Thumbs in the back, chest is out, chin slightly in. Inhale left and exhale right. Now, deep breath, opening the subtle channels of the body that go up the center of the body in the space of the spine. Shushumana. Keep going. No, sit, no, sit, no, sit, no. Into the center, inhale deeply, please. Third eye gaze, rectum, sex organ, navel, contract them up and in, heart wide open. Exhale, relax, bring the hands to the knees, and then as shoulder shrugs, you're gonna inhale up, exhale, release, like every exhale, let the shoulder blades just drop. Let the stress, upper back, neck, shoulders release. It can be double time as well. Powerful breath, almost there, keep up. Inhale, squeeze the shoulders up. Squeeze out the tension. Exhale. Beautiful. Good? It's a good start. Have a little sip of water. Yeah? Now, this next exercise, O-shaped mouth. Index finger to thumb is your wisdom seal. Index, Jupiter, Guru wisdom. To the ego, the thumb. Palms are face up on the knees. Chest is out. The mouth will be in an O shape. Ladies, if you happen to be pregnant or on your moon cycle right now, then do long, deep breaths through the O-shaped mouth. And we're going to be doing a breath of fire through the O-shaped mouth. And it's kind of a breath, it's a cannon breath. So here's how it goes, like this rhythm today, yeah. So keep the chest out. Shoulders dropped. Meditative, third eye gaze, go.
Just a glance, just a glance.
Third eye is the gaze. Relax the gaze of the third eye.
With just a glance.
Powerful breath. Keep up. Through the mouth, inhale deep. And now please contract the rectum, sex organ, navel, up and in. Gaze the third eye. Squeeze your spine. And like a cannon, exhale. Inhale deep. Lock is in. Squeeze the spine. Squeeze the spine tight. Squeeze the whole body. Squeeze tight, tight. Exhale. One more time. Deepest inhale. Third eye, rectum, sex organ, navel, root lock. Squeeze deep the spine and the fiber of the body. Squeeze tight, tight.
Who do you think you are?
Squeeze deeper. Deep. Exhale. And relax now. Keep the eyes closed and be perfectly still. Meditative space. Third eye gaze. Let the breath flow naturally. And just be still and let the breath flow naturally.
Who do you think you are? Think you are?
Good start, no? We've got 2 meditations to do today, and we're almost ready to do them. And they're not particularly easy, but you can absolutely do them, and they are particularly effective. And that's the thing. I'm not as interested in easy as much as I'm as interested in effective. And my experience has shown me that in order to generate the type of energy that will keep my mind in a space of clarity and content, and even when there's great stress or there's worries or doubts that show themselves, in order to be able to discard the doubt. The word for doubt is param, and the word for your purpose is dharam or dharma. And so doubt is doubt is the polarity of purpose. And so largely what happens is our doubts and our worries are consuming and draining our energy, because that's the condition that we're living in. You go to a doctor's office, they'll tell you have this condition, that condition. Well, that's the condition, is the condition that yields worries, and chronic worries. Worries are fine. Chronic worries are problematic. Doubts are fine. Chronic, overpowering doubt is not okay. In the context, it's okay. We have love and compassion for that. It's not okay in the context of generating happiness, of generating health, and living with a real sense of purpose. You see? So what we're interested in is not the diseased conditions, but rather the conditions that produce confidence, the inner conditions that yields trust and love. And so that is why, in order for me to actually generate that condition, I have to have a sense of the subtlety. There's only 2 real universes to exist within. One is the material realm, where the only things that are real is that which you can verify with material methods, and I'll leave it at that. I always make the assumption that the people that I'm here with are intelligent, and wise and intuitive, and you know what? I think you sense what all the aspects of what that can mean. The other universe is the realm of subtlety, where it's a realm of actually great mystery. And it's not a realm where I'm trying to know everything. And in fact, I'm often more interested in unknowing things and not knowing, in the sense that there is so much I don't know what has created all of this. I don't know the power that generated me in my mother's womb. I don't understand it intellectually, that is. I know it. I don't know it, and I can't define it. I can't rationalize it. It's not. I don't believe it's. We're not programmed to be able to understand that with the normal thinking mind. And that's the great texts of Japji from the Master Nanak in northern India, many hundreds of years ago, said Soche Soche Nahovi, Je Soche Lakavar Chupe Chupa Nahovi, Je Layar Halivtar, which essentially means by thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, and even if I were to multiply those thoughts by thousands and thousands of times, I would still not be one thought closer to reality. Because reality from the yogic perspective is that which never changes, that which never dies. And that subtlety can't be experienced from the normal thinking mind. It has to be experienced from the deep, subtle, meditative mind at the level of the spirit and the soul. And so this is where we're going, and this is why we need these exercises to purify the density of the body and the density of the psyche, so that the mind starts to perceive the realm of subtlety. And so by not knowing, by being willing to live inside of the mystery, if I'm not willing to enjoy the mystery, not just live in the mystery, but to enjoy the mystery, to say, there's something else going on here. in the realm of subtlety, there's always, everything is animated by a great intelligence, but it's engined by love, engined by intelligence. And so as I'm navigating the life, I know I'm being taken care of. I know there's something that is taking care of me. There's something that grew. There's an intelligence that grew me in my mother's womb. There's an intelligence that rotates the earth. There's an intelligence that moved me out of my mother's womb at the exact appropriate time, when the right constellation was on the eastern horizon, that set the tone of my life and put in motion all the circumstances and the people I would meet and the pain that I would have and the adversity I would be challenged with, to give me the right opportunities to alleviate the karmic weight and experience the dharmic energy, the purpose, the mission of what I'm here to do. This is a university. It's somewhere carving out the density and purifying the excess baggage so that I can experience love and experience joy. So in that mystery, I start to truly know. I start to truly know, because those channels that from needing to know too much, that are overly clenched, start to loosen up, and you'll have intuition, the flow of intuition. And that will take a lot of your anxiousness away. Because intuition isn't just about knowing information. In fact, it has very little to do with that. It's about widening your perspective and scope and being able to see what is actually happening under the surface, and to be able to sense and to know what is the deeper reasons and meanings in what is happening. And that's what real prayerfulness is. It's not just, dear God, please, and some idea of some being up in the heavens. But it's an intercommunication with life and with nature. And then instead of having worries, indulging worry, I start to generate the conditions that allows me to live in a prayerful space, a prayerful mood. And that starts to antidote the lower, heavy, and negative or draining aspects of worry, and allows me to transmute them into a deeper energy, a higher, more vibrant and healthy expression of that same air tattva worry. You understand? And so the meditations, the two that we're about to do, are going to help us to get into that space. You see, the two other aspects that we're here to kind of experience and start to cultivate. This is not short-term cultivation. This is something that takes, practice on a regular basis. But I have to kind of measure for myself, how much do I want to live with this type of love, with this type of joy, with this type of happiness? Well, if I want it enough, I'll do the work that is required. If my reasons for doing something is big enough, I won't have a problem. But I have to have a big reason to do it, because it's deep, powerful work. And in order to actually do it, I'm going to have a big mission, a big reason. And so, number one is when we can start to generate the energy with similar exercises as we've done and that we're about to do. You start to develop pranic power so that when you catch your mind starting to worry, you can draw your sword and you can stop. And you can use your willpower to actually shift it. Now also what we normally do is use mantric power, which we're going to work with in a minute. Because the mantra, it's mantarang, means wave of the mind, is what it literally means. So everybody's chanting something all the time, but they're typically chanting in a worrisome way. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And all that, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, in that mood, with that fight or flight type of activity, that sympathetic nervous system active all the time will drain the energy and cause the body to lose its vitality, and it cements deeper in the psyche the worry tendency, the worry momentum. So if we're going to shift the worry tendency, which has such a profound momentum, we have to get in and essentially rewire the system, so to speak, so we can slow that thing down and then turn it the other way. And that's why it might seem very hard at first, but it's only really hard, honestly, at first. Later, the same thing that may seem tremendously difficult right now will be tremendously blissful after some practice. And so keep that in mind as we're going through this, and just do your best, okay? Because it may be really, really difficult. Just do your best. And if you have to disengage the posture physically, see if you can please just stay in the other aspects of the meditation, the breath, and so on and so forth. So that's it. The first part of it is to be able to cut through, to be able to draw the sword and to halt the mind, and then to use the will, the force of the will, to move it in another direction. Okay? That requires tremendous pranic strength. That's what we're developing. That's what the Dharmic Warrior course is all about, to develop that. But the other, and joy of the infinite, what the other aspect of what we're doing here is to start to arouse the deeper heart of your life, the deeper love of your life. And if we're hyper-focused on my stuff, what's wrong with me? I'm trying to fix this. I'm trying to improve this. That me. It becomes very difficult to make progress after a period of time. You'll make progress like that. But eventually what needs to happen, and what the real Dharma warriorship is about, is to where you start to realize that your happiness and your blissfulness and your real joy and love and your real ability to transcend your perpetual doubts and worries requires that this heart starts to move in an outward direction. In other words, that your life and your mission and what you're here to do, you realize is very much interconnected with the benefits of others, for the benefit of others, for the benefit of all beings. And so that starts to arouse the deeper heart of compassion. And when your mission becomes more expansive in that way, the perpetual worries are going to lose their electricity. So those are the three levels, is to generate the energy, so you have the pranic energy, to then learn how to actually use mantric exercises and use the yogic practices to then shift and slow the worry tendencies and reroute them. And then the third is to arouse the deeper love, the deeper heart of compassion. Now we're going to start to use these two meditations to have an experience of that today, okay? And then my wish and my hope is that many of you will continue on. And I want to give you the opportunity to work with us and to work with these practices regularly, because that's what it will take to actually make it realistic. Is to do a little bit every day, to where you start to see tremendous progress relatively quickly. Okay, so here we go. What you're going to do is you're going to take your hands, first you're going to hold your pinky and ring finger down with your thumb, and index and middle finger are straight up. Okay? And I was worried that I was going to look over at the clock and say, only 5 minutes left, but we got 30 minutes left. So that's perfect timing for what we need to do here. So if you hadn't stretched out your legs, first stretch out your legs. Make sure you're going to be relatively comfortable. And here we go. Okay? And bring this is your mudras like this. So both hands, thumb holds down pinky and ring, and index and middle are up. Then you're going to hold that up at the height. Your elbows are at shoulder height. Okay? And then there's a 90-degree angle from the upper arms, so forearms pointing up, fingertips are firm. You're like an antenna. Now hold that posture just like that. Just like that. Hold that posture. And begin to breathe long and deep. And close your eyes down. If you can, and especially those of you who are practiced yogis, your mulban, root lock, is up and in. And you're breathing long, slow, and deep through the nose. Now eyes are closed, and you're going to roll the eyes up as if you're looking at the crown of your head. And then bring your attention to the top of your head. And you lock in to that position. Make the breath long, slow, and deep with the chest wide open. And breathe. Where your attention goes, the life force flows. Attention to the crown of your head. Hold the posture steady. Make your body like an antenna. The more steady you can keep the body, the more the energy will start to flow. The fingers are firm, the chest is out. At a certain point, it'll feel very difficult. Now, if you have an injury in your shoulder or somewhere, please don't exacerbate an injury for a yoga posture. But other than that, you're going to hit a point where you're going to want to release the posture. At that point, breathe deeper. Refocus the crown of the head and let the changes happen. It'll put a tremendous pressure on you, but that pressure will start to lift the energy up from the lower triangle up into your heart center and up into the crown and the third eye point. Do your best to hold the posture steady and go through it. Breathe long, slow, and deep. The more difficult it becomes, the deeper the breathing. Your chest out, elbows at shoulder height, index and middle fingers firm. Breathe with great strength, long and deep. Where your attention goes, the energy flows. Crown of your head. Bring your awareness, roll your gaze upward as if you could look out the top of your head, and bring your attention to the crown of your head. Chest wide open, so your heart can vibrate. A heart as big as the sun. The yogis say the heart chakra has a power of 1,000 suns. Open the chest, breathe deeply, crown of the head. and bring your attention. At a certain point, you hit that threshold where you don't feel like you can continue. At that point, lock in, recommit to the posture, and breathe even deeper. You'll move through the threshold. The glands will start to secrete, and it'll bring you into a tremendous state of magnetism and even blissfulness, if you can just keep up. Deeper the breath, please. Less than a minute to go. Breathe long, deep. Hold the posture. Attention to the crown of the head. Chest is out. Shoulder blades released. Hold the posture and inhale deeply. Suspend the breath in, lift through the rectum, sex organ, navel, open your heart wide, crown of the head, roll the eyes up, attention to the crown. Hold the posture, exhale. Now deep inhale. Suspend the breath, root lock is up and in. Crown of the head, now be perfectly still. Hold the posture, exhale. Now last time, deeply, deeply inhale. Rectum, sex organ, navel. Roll the gaze up as if you're looking out the top of your head into the infinite space. Exhale and relax. Relax the posture. Meditate. Satnam. Stretch your legs if you wish. And now last part. Last meditation. So what the mantra you're gonna be using. Mantra is these mantras are so powerful, and they give you the capacity to harness the energy of the mind and direct it in a productive fashion. And it carves out the grooves that will start to create the feelings, the thoughts, feelings, emotions, and desires that will produce good happiness for you, good vitality for you, that will give you the capacity to transmute worries into deeper trusting, and to have that deeper sensibility of what is really happening here, what is really going on. And even if we may not understand it rationally, we have that deep sense of trust because we have connectivity to the most subtle part of nature and to the most subtle parts of our own beings. You're going to be chanting this mantra, and it sounds like Hud, Hud, and it comes from your navel. 2 parts of the body that need to be engaged as you chant this mantra is your navel, which is right underneath the belly button, just a couple of inches, and then the tip of your tongue. So it's usually transliterated as H-A-R, but it sounds more like H-U-D because the tongue must flick the upper palate of the mouth with every repetition. And with every repetition, the navel comes in and the tongue flicks the upper palate of the mouth. Okay? So it's like that, like Hud. It's a warrior mantra. Hud, Hud. It's powerful. Hud, Hud. It generates will energy, soul energy. Okay? And your hands are going to be like this. And with every repetition, you're going to trace, with your palms facing up, about a 12-inch diameter circle. And when you do that, the upper arms and kind of elbow strike the torso definitively. So it's like this. Like Hud, Hud. Let me turn it up. Like this. Eyes are closed, okay? Third eye is the gaze. Hud, 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 Hud. Okay, and begin. So Hud, Hud, Hud. Chant it out. If you're somewhere where you can't chant loud, that's okay. Just do it very quietly. But if you can chant, chant it out. Eyes in the third eye. Powerful chant. Navel. Tip of the tongue. Go. Hud, 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 Upper arms and the elbows strike your ribcage definitively. Chant it out. Take the deep inner desire, or even the deep inner pains, or the deep inner anxiety, and then communicate like a prayer. Chant. What is it that you wish? What is it that you're going? What is it that you want? Fulfillment, love, contentment, clarity. Chant it out. Tip of the tongue, navel, powerful. Concentrate, go. Strike the body. This Kriya generates a deep energy so that the entire cosmos and the people in your lives will feel your enthusiasm for the mission like a burning flame. It generates the deep, deep energy of the fire, tattva, fire element, and makes it express in a form of subtlety, which we call radiance. Third eye is the gaze, the chant is powerful, the tip of the tongue, the navel, the meditative mind, go like a warrior, powerful and still, powerful and relaxed. Keep up. Almost there, keep up. Chant it out. Go. Hold the posture steady. Eyes on the third eye. Hold in stillness. Palms facing up. Hold the posture, exhale. Inhale. Palms flattened. Chest out. Heart wide open. Root lock is in. Third eye gaze. Meditate into the third eye. Exhale. Inhale. Root lock is in. Heart lifted out. Third eye is the gaze. Exhale. Relax. Stretch your legs out if you wish. Beautiful job. You can start to sense, the strength of the practices. And I like to call it like intellectual bypass. Because it's bypassing the thinking mind, which that part of the mind, it's natural that it worries. But if that's the part of the mind that is most dominant, then we have conditions that we feel miserable, and occasionally we feel great, but the consistency tends to just be that swinging back and forth to I feel comfortable, I feel miserable, I feel good, I feel not good, etc., etc. It's the swing of the negative and the positive. It's only when I can neutralize the organism, the energy of the organism, that the mind comes into its meditative space. Meditative space doesn't mean like this, That, this, and this, and this, and all the things that we're doing is to make the mind, is to strengthen the mind's meditative space. So that then the meditative space just looks like this. It looks like anything that you're doing at any particular moment. You with me? And that's what it's about. I was just recently on tour with Simrit. I was teaching along their tour on the East Coast, and they're finishing that tour up tonight in Nashville, Tennessee. If anybody happens to be in the Nashville area, I would go there. All the music I've played this entire class is Simrit. It also happens to be my wife. And so if you don't know about her, you gotta check her out. Simrit. And they're finishing their tour tonight. But they'll tour again in Europe in the fall, or in the late summer, and then North America, West Coast in the fall. But check out all her music. And anyhow, so we were in New York City, and she had gotten a pretty bad cold. Season was changing. She's on a tour bus going around with all these people. She caught a cold, and that's difficult if you're a singer, of course, because her throat was really inflamed. And she had gotten to the point where they did 2 back-to-back nights in New York City, and on that second night, she could barely even talk, let alone sing. And that'll provoke worry, won't it? And doubts and fear that, all right, I've got a packed house coming tonight, and I've got to sing, and they're all coming they planned for months to come see me, and so that's normal, isn't it? Of course you have worries, and oh my gosh, that's one part of you. But you see, there's another part of you that we have to access. And that's what these practices are about. That's what the real warriorship is about, is accessing the deeper, more subtle parts of you, the more magnetic parts of you, the more attractive parts of you, that then amplify those. And Simrit's done that for years and years and years. So in a moment like this, it comes to serve her. And so she's able to, of course her mind's like concerned, worried, but she has this deeper trust. She has this deeper trust that doesn't allow the worries to overdominate and then say like cancel or be so anxious that you don't perform well. So she walked up on that stage. They began the concert, and at first it was I could feel it's a little shaky, but within moments they soared. She soared, the whole band soared, and I could hear it a little bit in her voice for sure, but it didn't matter, because the vulnerability of like her throat, it just opened the heart even bigger, and it was it was one of the best performances I've ever heard her sing. And the whole band was like riding this whole wave that I think, at least on that night, was catalyzed by her. I called it the throat concert, the throat show. They're amazing all the time, but this was a special night. And even like one of my favorites, we were meditating to it just a little while ago, this Kudrat Kavan, which I was playing from her live album. Remember this song? Oh my God, this song. I've been listening so much since that show, because they just version of this, and Salif, that kora player, was just like, it was so magical. And then Simrit came in, and she, because of her voice having limitations, she couldn't do her normal lower register. And so she sang the verse, the mantra, in a way that she had never sung it before, and I loved it, and I recorded it, and I sent it to her later, and and I had to leave the tour that night, and so they were on their way to Boston. She texted me, and she's like, in all caps, "I'm in love with this version of it." And it's even specifically the melody. She changed the way she sung the melody a little bit in this higher register, and it took it for me to like another level. And so not only did she do a great job, not only did she draw her sword, but like really it was about the mission. All of that was involved. She was there. If this was not mission oriented, she would have quit a long time ago. If what we're doing here with our work, with our courses, and with our Life Force Academy, if we didn't have a really clear and big mission, I would have quit a long time ago. Why? Because it's so hard. It's really difficult to keep. It takes so much energy. It would be easier to not do it. But the love is in it, and the mission is in it, and that's why we love it, and that's why we keep doing it. That's why she does that. She has this great mission. It's so much beyond just the performances. You know what I mean? Go into her class. I saw someone post this last night. They played in Chicago. Go into her concert. It's like doing Kundalini yoga in the way that it moves the energy of folks. So it's amazing art and amazing service. So that's both of those, having the inner caliber to trust deep, that has to be cultivated. And then having the mission orientation. That's Joy of the Infinite, and that's Dharmic Warriorship. Those are our two warrior courses, Joy of the Infinite and the Dharmic Warrior course. And Dharmic Warrior is all about arousing the deeper mission, the deeper heart of compassion. It's easy to love within my circle of friends and my family and all of that. But to love so much that even folks that are annoying to me, or folks that wish me harm, or folks that I don't vibrate or resonate with, that's the deeper arousing that we're working to do, to arouse the supreme love that's not just what we call like a limited love or a biased love, but the non-biased, unlimited, where you can feel, empathy, compassion deeply for everyone and all things, no matter what is the case. That's a practice. That takes time. But that is the pathway of bliss, because we recognize that my personal bliss is interconnected with my ability to generate a true altruistic heart. So even that is within a certain context selfish, a selfish motive, is to be blissful. But in order for me to be genuinely blissful, I have to have genuine altruism, and that is a advanced human space. But that is the human state of consciousness, and that is the inner condition that can't be generated with willpower alone. If it would, we could have done it a long time ago. That is an advanced state, an advanced and a transcendent space that one must cultivate in order to stabilize that space, so we're more consistently and eventually always living from that space. Are you with me? So that's the Dharmic Warriorship, and that's why we created these courses, and they're deep works. And this is a beautiful experience today, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you got a lot out of even just this one thing. I think you could take, and you could take something with that could improve, hopefully help you in your life. It certainly helped me. I always say I'm trying to always be the best student here, because I never know what's coming through. And so I'm always paying attention and, let me do this, let me refine this, etc. And we created the Dharmic Warrior. The last couple of years, these two warrior courses, Dharmic Warrior and Joy of the Infinite. Joy of the Infinite is about deathlessness. It's about experiencing the part of you that is non-dying, not just intellectually. We need that intellectual foundation to understand the teachings, to understand what we're endeavoring to experience. But we need the experience. The teachings without the experience is not enough, just like the experience without the teachings is also not enough. Joy of the Infinite is about I have that foundation of subtlety that allows me to be able to understand what the real part of myself really is. And when I'm connected to my realness, to what I'm really about, the part of me that does not die, the part of me that never changes, the part of me that never grows old, then my confidence, real genuine confidence, is born. not the confidence that fades or goes up and down depending on whether somebody likes me or doesn't like me, or some of the bank account goes up, the bank account goes down. Real confidence. So that's how you start to draw the sword, so to speak, to be able to cut through, because you can say that to your own mind. You say, stop it. I know what I'm about. But in order to be in that space, I'm going to have a deep practice and something that I'm cultivating on a consistent basis. That's what these are about. Dharmic warriors that then to draw out the deeper well of love, the deeper heart of compassion. And so this Dharmic warrior course I'm in love with, and I love both these courses very much. And my mission in these last couple of years is to get them out to as many people as possible. And in part, that's what I wanted to do this for, was one, to let's have this experience. But those of you who are able to move forward and want to do this work in a much, it's more substantive because it's more of it, and we have much more time to go deeper in it. Because when you get these courses, you have lifetime access. It's not like if you don't start now, you go away. These are assets that you have forever, as long as you want them. And you can download it all, and it's just yours. And furthermore, if you ever get our courses, and for any reason at all decide, this isn't quite for me, all you got to do is let our team know within 60 days of purchasing it, and they send you a full refund, and it's no questions. It's just, we are, as I mentioned, we have a mission. We're very clear on what we're doing. We believe in everything with these courses, with what they do, because we experience the effect. This stuff is what's changed and transformed my world, my life, my heart, and giving me joy and giving me love and giving me blissfulness, and then so many others that I've watched over 20 years of working with these and teaching these practices. And so I have 100% conviction in them. And what I want to offer you is to jump into the Dharmic Warrior course, or if you want to get the combo, the Warrior combo, where you get both courses together, Dharmic Warrior, Joy the Infinite. They both have both of those qualities, the Shakti, where you draw the sword, and the Bhakti, where you arouse the deeper love. And we need both. You need the male principle and the female principle. Otherwise, there's too hard on one side of the polarity, and it will eventually swing back around. Because to whatever extent that I'm kind of pushing away my worries and fears right now, in a trying to push them away as if in a fearful way, to that extent they're going to spring back at me. Just like to whatever extent I emotionally grip to pleasures and comfort when it comes around, to that extent I will eventually be gripped by pain when it comes around. I'll be emotionally gripped by pain. But you see, pain ought to be my greatest ally. We try to push it away in our normal, on the thinking level, in our normal, when our life force and our mind is overly gripped to the material part of life. Then pain is something that is a negative. We don't want it. But when I'm in the space of the between, in the space of love, in the space of the meditative mind, pain becomes one of my greatest allies. Easy to say, hard to practice, but it's true. Because when you're in pain, your prayer becomes very powerful. When you're in pain, you can have connectivity to the real essence of what you are much more quickly. And you can love much more deeply than we can when we're gripped by comfort or pleasures. Do you understand what I mean? I have a dear friend who is struggling with cancer right now. And I got a message last night that things weren't going so well. And it's just overwhelming feeling of love, And that's a great blessing. That is a tremendous pain, it's not what I'm wishing for. But whatever comes is what I'm going to embrace. And so when we have unfortunate circumstances, there's always a nutrient in there. There's always a great blessing in there. And to take pain as your ally, and to take death and mindfulness of death on as your ally, is some of the most powerful work and some of the most powerful medicine. That's Joy the Infinite, and that's Dharmic Warriorship. Those are the two courses. And so what we've done is we put them together, and all the information is on your page here. You can scroll down to get the Warrior Mastery Combo. You see it right there. Get both courses. And so or you can just, if you just want to start with one, Dharmic Warrior, you can do that too. Those are the two options. Regular price for Dharmic Warrior is typically $570. But for right now, because you've taken this webcast with us today, and because we want to do what we can to get as many of you as possible into these trainings, then it's heavily discounted right now and for the next few days. And so if you get it now, it's only $285, or there's a payment plan. If you can't swing that right now, then there's a payment plan where you just do 3 payments of $108 now, and then 30 days later, then 30 days later. You have full access to the course right away. And as I already mentioned, even if you get the courses, you try them out, not so, then just let our team know. They'll send you the full refund. And if you get in there and you vibe with it and you love it, which I'm pretty sure you will, then it could be one of the coolest things you've ever done. And I can say that with great, I can say that genuinely, because I've heard it from so many other people. And even myself, teaching it and doing this stuff myself is one of the coolest things I've ever done. Dharmic Warrior, Joy of the Infinite courses. And so then the bundle is typically, that's where you get both these courses. And all the info for the courses are on there. You can read all about them. The bundle is $1,075 for both courses together. It's over half off if you get it today. That's only $450 for both the Joy of the Infinite and Dharmic Warrior. Now, I would suggest you do one at a time, because each one is designed to take over about like a 6 to 8 week period of time. You can move through it faster if you wish. You can go at whatever pace you want, but that's how I designed the courses, so is to move through them about a 6 to 8 weeks. So like that, all right, perhaps in the moment that seems like a long time, but say you did both courses. So where are we at right now? We're in late April. Within, say, like July, if you're consistent, or even say if you weren't as consistent, you stalled on some a little bit, and by August, and you did both of these courses, everything changes, really for the better in terms of your physical vitality. Every module has about an hour of the teachings, and then it has the practices with it. With each module has a practice and the teachings. So the teachings, the meditative practice, and the very powerful warrior exercises, not very different than what we did today, but more of it, and a little more in depth with a lot more instruction. Today was like a sample or teaser in a certain way, but I thought a good one. And so anyhow, it's only $450, and there's also a payment plan for the package, the combo of both the courses. It's only 3 payments of $167. It's not that much more than the 3 payments for just the one course. So if you can, I would really recommend, this would be the least expensive you could ever get. Those 2 courses would be getting that combo today. And so that's what it is. That's how we do them. We sell them like that. Because we want you to join in, and we want to keep our ship running and going. And so it also fuels what we're doing to keep on making this stronger and able to bring this to as many places as possible, to as many people as possible. And so I think that's all. I think that's all I have to share about that. You can read about each of the modules and the full course details. There's both video and audio of the modules, so if you want to like even listen to them while you're driving, or like going on a hike in wherever, walking your dog, you have the audio. So we try to make it how can we help people get through this work and digest and assimilate this as easy as possible. So having some of the stuff you want to be sitting and being able to do the practices, but some of it you can absolutely listen to, and many people go through the course several times, because it's not something like I heard it once, so I got it. Just like kind of like today, it's done. These are things that they sink in and then you do the work and you expand yourself and you grow in your own consciousness. And then when you listen to the next time, you're going to be able to hear it and assimilate it at another level than you did the first time, and on and on. So, and also, good, I forgot about this. I'm glad I scrolled down. So here's the thing. There's, if you get the courses, there's bonuses as part of these. And the bonuses, one bonus is worth more than what you're actually paying for the course in this, and that's you're going to get, if you join either the Dharmic Warrior or the both combo courses, you're going to get the Sacred Valley teachings. So several years ago, or not several, 2.5 years ago, we took a journey to the Sacred Valley of Peru, and we took about 30 or 40 yogis with us, and we gave teachings down there, and yogic practices, and the teachings, warriorship teachings, are very much in line with what we were doing today and what you're going to be doing in this course. And that was filmed. And so the only way, we've never made that available unless, other than as a bonus to the Dharmic Warrior course. So if you get that Dharmic Warrior course or both of them, you're going to get access also to the Sacred Valley teachings, which is in and of itself like a third course. And then finally, also you'll get over 50% off tuition to our Dharmic Warrior immersion, which is happening in the Catskills of upstate New York. Labor Day weekend, that's the last week of August and into September 1st. And at Menla Mountain Retreat, an amazing place. And if you join the courses, you're going to get the special tuition, which is over 50% off to come to that. So that's an amazing deal. And that's going to be an incredible experience as well. And there's nothing like the in-person immersions. And check it out. You can learn all about it, the Dharmic Warrior immersion. I think that's the most important part of this whole thing is getting to those immersions personally. I personally think that's even more valuable than the courses itself, my opinion, but based off of years of experience with that. And then also, if you get the combo package, there's the bonuses for Joy the Infinite, which have 2 extra classes on it. And the first is called 1,000 Midnights, and that's the art of spiritual activism. And 1,000 Midnights, that title is taken from Dr. Martin Luther King's Nobel Peace Prize speech when he said, when our days are dark and dreary, darker than, he said, 1,000 midnights, we'll know that we are a civilization that is struggling to survive. And it's a very, this 1,000 Midnights on spiritual activism is really powerful and something I love very much and I think is really important. And then the other class you'll get when you get the combo is Disarming the Adversary. It's called the Warrior Way of Conflict Resolution, and it's essentially communication skills in difficult conversations and difficult relationships, disarming the adversary so the two individuals can communicate in love. And that could be within love relationships, work relationships, or anything that you're doing in your life. Everything we're doing involves relationships, and often our communications lead to tension and struggle and adversity. This is what that's about, disarming the adversary, the warrior way of conflict resolution. So that's enough for today, isn't it? So you have all that there. I'm not sure what day, but we'll let you know. This is available now. If you feel inspired, I'd encourage you to go for it and just click the button. Just takes a moment to register. If you click through, that'll take you to the checkout page. It just takes you a minute to enter your info in, and that gives you immediate access to the courses. And so that's cool. You can use this momentum that we generated here today to begin the course. And so I hope you'll do that. If you feel inspired to do that, I'll encourage you to do that. Even if you can't join us for the courses at this time, I hope that today was of great value to you in some way and that you enjoyed it. Let's seal our class together, though. Let's please bring the hands into the prayer pose. And let's end our experience by bringing ourselves into our hearts and into our sense of prayerfulness. And so bring your hands into prayer pose. And bring your gaze of the third eye.
May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you. And the pure light within you. Guide your way on. Guide your way on. Guide your way
And inhale deep. Satnam.